Hi, I'm Bryan Hartson, and welcome to the Bryan Hartson Show. I've got another great show for you today. Remember that we do have some great upcoming shows next week. I'll be taking most of the rest of this week off to celebrate 26 years of marriage to my partner, uh, Patricia. Thank you for 26 years. 2 for 26 is the movie that we're writing. We will be spending time together away from here. I have absolutely no idea where it is. All I know is I want to get rid of this little cold here so that we can go enjoy it. 26 years have got me not only an amazing marriage to the perfect person in my life, my stronghold, my backbone, but also we've been able to have uh, 3 wonderful children. And now I have my exactly 6 month, 1 day old granddaughter with us, Macy Joe. And so I'm very excited to continue our journey through the years ahead. And so today, we have got a very special guest to talk about something that's very important. And it's important in this time more so than ever as we come out of our pandemic and into reality. Who knows what tomorrow is going to hold? But we do know that the masks are coming off. As a matter of fact, the CDC has said masks can come off. So state by state, they're coming off. And it is a whole new world for us and a readjustment. And during this downtime that we've had over the past year, there's an awful lot of people that can use an awful lot of help from my guest, Erin. Erin Reiland is a certified disordered eating anxiety breathwork. She's an NLP practitioner and trauma coach. And after recovering from her own 20-year battle with an eating disorder and past trauma, she's made it her mission to help others to live a purposeful life with lasting recovery. She's founded In Body Love Coaching, where she's coached women to work through their past and was kept them in a place of self-destruction. She's getting them out of there. She's been featured in ABC, NBC, CBS, and CW media outlets, as well as multiple interviews, podcast guest spots, and as a blog guest contributor. She has over 12,000 Instagram and Twitter followers, which is quite an accomplishment, I must say, and is in the process of writing her book about her life, recovery, and finding her inner peace. So if you would help join me in welcoming our friend Erin as we get into the nuts and bolts of what's going on. Hi, Erin. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you for that nice intro.
Well, you're welcome. So, Erin, this is a perfect time to be meeting with you and talking about uh, the things that you've been struggling through over time and some of the things maybe you may be able to help some of our listeners and viewers with today. So, bring us up to speed.
Gosh, just like you were saying with COVID and with everything going on and going back to normal, I think that mental health is becoming more at the forefront, and also May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I think that people are having more anxiety, more worries of what life is like, all these questions, the ins and outs of what is what. and
Hmm.
and so it's becoming more of I know I've been getting more questions about how is this going to look, and people's anxiety has just gotten so much that uh, I I really feel working with people with anxiety can really just help them be able to re-enter the workforce, re-enter life without just living in this fear-based place, which a lot of people with mental health struggle with is the fear-based place.
Hmm. And so you've had to deal with just a multiple of different avenues of just mental health from so many different levels, and it brought you into being an NLP. Um, what was it like when you were going through those terrible times in your life? How did you cope? I mean, how would somebody that recognize that they're having something that they need some assistance with, which certainly you can definitely help with? And I'm going to throw up here real quick your Instagram page here, or actually, I'm going to throw up your website here right now, so that people can pop on over while we're talking and take a look. But talk us through some of that. Because I mean, is it not true that there's a lot of denial?
Yeah. There's denial is one of it's sort of a denial slash unawareness or thinking that, hey, I don't really have a problem. Maybe it's not an issue. Maybe eating doesn't affect me. And really, what I've always said is it's about the food and it's not about the food. It's really about what's going on underneath the anxiety, the past trauma, the depression, and people use their eating disorder as a way to cope. And for me, I used it from the get-go when I was 15 and I had my eating disorder for 20 years on and off, and it just was a life of a revolving door of treatment, in treatment, out of treatment. Um, it wasn't a life. I didn't know how to live. And so I decided that my eating disorder was safe. It was my best friend, my worst enemy. It literally almost took my life. And even at that point, I was in denial that I would die. I was like, you know, uh, it was really horrible 20 years.
Wow, 20 years you dealt with it.
Yeah, it was from like 15 to 35, and it. I mean, I always say to my clients, you can't go back, you can't change the past. You really living in the moment and looking forward to the future is the best thing you can do because I would live in the guilt of the past. It was always, oh my gosh, I missed out on this. I have a 12-year-old son, and I missed out on a lot of, of
Hmm.
of his growing up, and it it's very hard to get out of the loop. And I think people don't really realize that maybe their loved one, why they recovered, why can't they get over it? They've been in treatments for so long, and it's very like difficult disorder because it's intertwined with so many other mental health issues. No one chooses
Uh,
to have an eating disorder.
Interesting, very interesting. So, um, you're married, obviously, yes?
No, my son's father passed away 5 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I was not aware of that.
That's kind of that was
Um,
a wrench.
how was that though, when he was with you and your child, dealing with the transition from somebody that's not mentally well into a mentally well person? How was that?
It was It was very difficult. I mean, my family has been my backbone. My mom was with me when I was 15 in the hospital all the way through it, and she never gave up on me. She was really the one that took on the mother role for my son, and it went from trying and trying. And the last few years of my struggle is when I did really want to recover, but there was still that pain. And so when I finally started to recover, it was hard. My son, for like 4 or 5 years after, up until about a year ago, kept wondering if I was going to leave again, wondering if I was sick, wondering, not understanding. And so it's taken, a lot of patience on my part and his to understand I'm okay. I'm
Hmm.
one that he's always deserved. And I think that has been a really difficult part of recovery, especially when there are moms who have kids and eating disorders, and it's very tricky. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm very blessed to have had an amazing family to support me and to support him, because I was probably overall gone about, I don't know, 2 years of his life on and off. Um, so having that support was everything. Was everything.
And that was your mom that was giving you that support too, right?
She's been the one who has really taken over, was really the one to come in and make sure that my son was taken care of, as well as me, always being like, "Okay, Erin, back in treatment. Okay."
Hmm.
And she just never gave up on me. Sorry. It's really hard, it's weird as a mom now. Um, I can only imagine
Yeah.
what I went through,
Yeah.
you know? And so I just know that I am the mom now, and it's just been a really long transition and just being patient, and that's part of the recovery. And actually finally deciding that I could face the pain that I had been running from my whole life. My whole life.
So you're in a good spot right now.
Yeah, things, you know, if you ask any, I mean, so many of my friends or even my mom, like, do you think Erin would be where she is today? Like what she's doing or this personality? Because this how I am now was not me 5, 6 years ago. I mean, not at all. They would say no. They would say we don't know where she would be, maybe dead, unfortunately. But
Wow.
yeah, I did not have a personality. It was, and now it's this, and so I want to make it, understanding that people, it is hard. I wasn't always like this, and not sugarcoating any of this, but
Yeah.
recovery is 100%. I think a lot of people don't believe that.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit more for the person that thinks that maybe they can use some assistance, but they're not really sure in identifying. Now, you reached out to yourself and said, "I'm just going to start eating," and that was your disorder, right? And then the abstracts that come from the eating disorder sort of manifested. But so there's others that may be watching. There's one person that we can help today. Then I think we may have done a good service, and we talked about that, and that's really what your goal is. So let's back up a minute. We've talked about a good place and how you got to a good place, but let's talk about self-identifying with with something that would somebody go, oh, you know what? I was watching Brian and Erin, and that sounds like me.
Mhm.
What's your advice? What's your thoughts?
So what I would like to say is when people maybe question, like, do I have a problem? Wait, is this an issue? You know? And for me, it's asking, does food, exercise, thoughts of food, you talk about with friends because of fear of food, or you want to exercise, or no, you want to eat, you're going to overeat. If food, anything encompassing with this, takes up more than half your day, it's something to look at. Like if there's some sort of issue, that needs to be addressed or could be addressed. And just thinking, if this is in my head more than other things, or I put other things on behind my eating or behaviors, then that's not really a life. You can cope, but it's not really a life, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so just asking yourself that question and asking yourself, what am I using this as a distractor for? There's something that the eating disorder or disordered eating is doing for you. It's protecting you, it's distracting you, it's numbing you. There's something. So maybe just to like think, what am I not wanting to deal with? I mean, it could be anything, really. Like work is too hard, I'm stressed, I've used food, trauma, um, depression, anxiety. It really is, there's something that this is doing for you, even if it's harmful.
So this is really for you. You think this is really a coping mechanism like alcohol or
Yeah,
smoking?
exactly. It's an addiction. So eating disorders are addictions. And it's kind of hard sometimes to think
Interesting.
that way, but it is an addiction. And it's a way there's something underneath there that is needing some attention, some love, something that maybe have happened, 20 years ago that you didn't really realize got into your head or affected you the way it did. And now it's been manifesting your whole life and you just really haven't realized it. So that's that's something you may never even realize.
Uh-huh. And so self-realization of that is the first step. What do
Uh,
we do to take our second step?
so the first step is just acceptance. Acceptance of what is. Doesn't mean you're broken, doesn't mean you're flawed, doesn't mean you're crazy, or
Hmm.
the stigma doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean anything. It just means that you need some support. You need some guidance. You need some sort of, ideas of how to change this and how to also look at those things that are causing some sort of pain or distraction. And so it's just the acknowledgement, acceptance, and then taking that first step to reach out, which is scary. It's very scary. Um,
Hmm.
if you're not in a place where you have to be hospitalized or what have you, and you're forced into it, but it's best to be proactive and be like, hey, I want to get on top of this. I don't want to be like, I don't want to have these feelings about myself or my body. And
Uh-huh.
reaching out, finding someone to talk to, you know, is the next.
Erin, after the break, I want to come back and I want to talk more about the second phase of life, um, the part of after identifying and starting recovery. And then what I would really like to hear about what it's like when you feel good, because I think that's the end point we want to get to is when do I feel right? So we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to the Bryan Hartson Show. I'm Bryan Hartson, and we are here with my very special guest, Erin Reiland, and we are unpacking some really important information for people that are struggling right now. And it may be just a new struggle that's happening right now because of the pandemic over the past year. It could well be just something that has been manifesting over years and years of time. But right now, if you're feeling like you are underwater, if you're using food as a crutch, there's a lot of crutches that we can use, and this is just one of them that Erin has had quite a few years of experience with, and now she's helping us get past that and into the next level. If you're just joining us, make sure you rewind the show, hop onto Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, any of those stations to watch the show again. This is important, people, and this is for you if you are one of those people that are struggling. And so, if you wouldn't mind helping me join Erin back into the room, Erin, thank you so much for being with us. We've talked about the identification of problems and sort of what it's like to drown through it. Take us through the steps of healing and into success.
Yeah. So, like I'd mentioned, it took me 20 years, but that's not that's not what I think. I was on the slow learning curve. Also, I had a lot of trauma that I really didn't work through. But how I like to put it is it doesn't have to take that's my purpose, is to say it doesn't have to take that long. It doesn't. Uh, when I was in my last treatment in Oklahoma, halfway across the country from where I'm at, for 3 months, and I was like dead. almost basically. And what it for me finally took was seeing my son on FaceTime, and I had a tube in my nose, and he was just like, he asked if I was gonna die, and it spun
Wow.
quickly that for me, that was the clicking point, and I said, "Well, I die, or I finally have to just face everything and work through it and listen to professionals." I don't know better than they do, obviously. I thought I
Mhm.
so I did a year step down treatment. When I got home, I really worked on myself. I did whatever I was asked to do and not do what I wanted to do. And it took that kind of leap of faith in someone else, which was very, very scary, that they could help me and knew more than I knew. And so it was that giving myself, releasing that control to someone else, terrifying, and I did it, and I worked through it, and that's when I finally began to really understand and forgive myself and others, and really just get to the bottom core issues that had kept me so sick.
Erin, question for you. Now, let's say we've identified that we have a problem, right? We want to go get some help. How difficult, if we're strong people really don't want to get help, right? They want to fix their own problems.
Sounds like me, sorry.
I know, I know. So that strong person to sit in front of somebody and have a conversation about their disorder, what's going on in their life, and getting the feedback from somebody to say you need to do X, Y, and Z, or ask you what it is that you think you need to do to get to
Mhm.
the point that you're at. How uncomfortable is that?
It's a little bit. It's a little I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit it's scary more than anything. It's scary to admit that there might be an issue, that you can't do this on your own, that you don't have, quote, "control." A lot of it's about control. I have control of this, when in reality, the disorder and food have control over you. And so
Hmm.
reaching out, it's hard. I mean, it's not it's hard, but I feel like when there's people out there that understand you, that have been through what you are going through, not the whole it doesn't have to be the whole thing. It's that feeling, that feeling inside that you have. And for me, when I found a coach that went through and had an eating disorder, I felt so connected that they got it, and it made it a lot safer feeling because for me it was safety. I wanted to feel safe.
Uh-huh.
And once I did feel safe, it was slow steps, and so that's how I am with people. I'm not like, "Okay, let's go through your life story. Let's get rid of this. Let's do this." I never tell anyone what to do. I always encourage them, "Hey, this is what I worked through. This is what helped me. Let me show you different things that we can work on, and let them take their power back. Let them choose, and I guide them through those things, to empower them and show them that they're safe, they're loved, they're worthy. So, I mean, that's how I like to go about working with people. Um, just knowing that they're safe and they're loved and it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Erin, have you ever failed in your process? Have you ever taken a step back?
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's relapses. You think you're doing, for me, it was, I thought I was doing really well. I was do well for a year. I was like, cool. But then something would trigger me because I hadn't dealt with my pain. And so whatever was that trigger in that moment, I would not be able to handle it. And so I'd go back to my eating disorder. And so I'd have relapses at once a year and being put into treatment like 15, 20 times over the years. And so
Hmm.
that's the thing is like recovery isn't linear. It's not like this type of thing. It's messy. It's all over the place sometimes. But I always say if you pick yourself back up, try the next best thing, the next best choice for yourself. It's okay. We're going to get there. We're going to get to your goals because I know I felt like a failure when I relapsed. And it's not a failure, it just means there's something else to learn. Something else.
Hmm.
It's okay as long as you keep trying and have that desire to try.
It is okay, isn't it?
It's okay.
Look at you now. Look at you now. You've brought yourself out of it. So, number one, congratulations on that.
Thank
That's the
you.
first huge step. And what you've been able to do is help other people identify their situations and help walk them through their healing process. And so, for anybody that's watching the show, as we start to finish up with our conversation today, there's a lot more that we can talk about. And I'm looking forward to having you back on to do more conversations in some smaller segments that people could just pop in and go for a quick hit of Erin. I got my Erin fix today. But I want everybody to take a look at Erin right now in full screen. Here's Erin. There's Erin today. Big happy smile. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect, does it, Erin?
Oh,
Tomorrow you may have a hiccup, right?
well,
But
and
it's okay.
yeah, and life, I'm not happy like woohoo all the time. I'm like, really? Something going on here? Like, it's different, but no, it's life is still crazy, but it's I cope with it differently.
Yeah. Okay, Erin, this is you. Your parting words to anybody listening that's on the fence. Lay it on them.
Life is 100% different. If you don't see it now, it's okay. If you're scared, if you're frustrated, if you're don't think there's an issue, if you're not thinking there's an issue and questioning it, there might be a problem, but it's okay. I understand. Just want anybody to know that if they have anxiety, depression, any of that, that it is something that is workable. You have to feel to heal, and there are safe places and definitely no judgment in so many avenues to just get support, and you're going to be okay. If I can recover, you can recover.
Awesome. Erin, very special time with you today. I really appreciate you being with us today, spending your time to tell your story. Excuse me. And I'm looking forward to more conversations with you.
For sure.
We will have Erin back with us very soon, I'm sure. In the meantime, I do want to do my shout outs for the day. We have Joyce James has a birthday. Veronica Balderas, congratulations, happy birthday to you. Damien Alfred, Sufu Love, Andy Holgan. Andy, happy birthday to you. Wes Speaks, the vice mayor, today is your birthday. Looking forward to having you on the show in the near future. And Richard Montgomery, congratulations on your birthdays. May it be the first day of an amazing rest of your life. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. You're in the moment. Make the change happen. Make it happen for the best. I'm Bryan Hartson. We will see you on the next show. Good night.